Hey guys, Showcase Watches. Today bringing you a video about the negatives of the watch hobby and things for newbies when people are coming into the hobby to watch out for, things for the more mature collectors, people who've been in the hobby for a while. I'm interested if you guys agree. Me personally, I've been in the hobby now for about 12 years. I've been collecting watches and I think I'm about there. I know what my tastes are, I know what I like, I know what I dislike, and it does take some time to... People immediately think, you get into watches, you'll see a watch, you'll love it, you'll buy it, I think your tastes change and you learn what you like and dislike the more you go through the hobby. Certainly for me, that's been the case. And I wanted to touch on a few things which I think are spoiling the hobby, especially for newbies. And I feel really, really sorry for people coming into the hobby right now. People who are just getting into watches, I think it's difficult for them. It's a shame for them. I came into the hobby back in the days when Rolex were in the authorised dealer. You could just walk in, you could buy a Rolex out of the window at retail. In fact, you could get a discount. Believe it or not, there was a time when you could get a discount from Rolex. I remember those days. Fair enough, you couldn't get a Rolex Daytona Panda out the window, but you could get a Hulk, you could get a Batman, you could get a black Submariner, you could get a black GMT. You could get these things out the window. The Explorer 2, that was classified as a dog. The Rolex ADs couldn't give them away. They were sat in the windows for ages. The Rolex Explorer 1, the Milgauss, they were all sat there in the authorised dealer window. And the Air King. I remember only, maybe three or so years ago, walking past my Rolex authorised dealer and an Air King being in the window. People who join the hobby now, they don't see that. They just see the hype of what's going on with Rolex. But there was a day when that wasn't the case. And I think the advantage of being in the hobby for some time is that you can see how things have gone. You can see how the hobby has evolved. And I honestly think the hobby has evolved for the worst. That it's gone the wrong way. To a degree. Depends on what side you're on with this. Now, watch collectors are split up into categories. You've got your watch collectors who are entry level. They have watch boxes full of Casio, Citizen, and lower end brands. And I'll never shit on anybody's watch. It's all relative. If somebody's earning minimum wage, to them having a G-Shock is an expensive watch. If somebody's earning 100,000 a year, somebody owning a Rolex is it's affordable. Someone who's a multi-millionaire having a Patek Philippe or an AP or whatever, it's all relative. So I never shit on anybody's watch. I don't believe in shitter watches. I don't believe in that. Everybody loves their watches for different reasons, and credit to them. So I think what's happening is you've got the guys who are in the lower tier who are looking at your Casios, your Citizens, things like that. They're just having a good time. They've got watch boxes full of these watches. They're just enjoying having multiple watches. They're just enjoying collecting them. They don't care about the value. They don't care about any. They're buying it because they love the look of the watch, the feel of the watch. Whatever their motivation is to enjoy that watch, they're enjoying it. They are more of a purist in the hobby than what today's average Rolex collector is. And that is going to upset a lot of people who watch this. I know it is, but it's true. The people who collect the watches for the love of collecting watches are the people I want to speak to. The people who are collecting the watches because their investment portfolio is increasing are the people who I get emails on a regular basis from these guys, and you can always spot them because they'll email me and say, "Hey James, how you doing? Love the channel, blah, blah, blah." They'll blow some smoke up my ass. Then they'll come in with, "I'm looking at buying a Rolex watch. Which watch should I buy that's going to hold the money the best or increase in value the most?" Instantly, that person is not buying it because they love the watch. They're not even telling me what watch they want. They're just telling me what Rolex can I get that's going to do that. So of course, they're looking at buying into subs, Pepsis, any GMT, Explorer 2s, Daytonas, whatever. They're looking at buying the hype pieces. if that's what you choose to do, then that's what you choose to do. It's a free world. Who am I to tell you what to do and what not to do? All I'm saying is, from my perspective and my opinion, that is one of the things that's wrong with the watch hobby in itself, is the investment class coming in and it's been discovered. The hobby has been discovered by the investment class, and they've come in, they've been buying the watches up, they've been they may have bought some expensive jewellery for the wives in the past, they've got an authorised dealer relationship, they've seen that these watches are growing in value, they've thought, oh, I'll put my name down, they've put the name down on Submariner, they've bought it, they've kept it in a case as a safe queen, they've bought the next one, they've bought the Pepsi, they've bought the Daytona, they've added and added and added, and they've collected them all away and kept them as safe queens. On the other flip side of that coin, you've then got the people who have a relationship with the authorised dealer, who are buying them, taking them straight to a grey market, putting it on the open market, and that's why the grey market is saturated with pre-owned Rolex. If you look at the likes of Watchfinder, have a look at how many Rolexes are for sale against how many Omegas are for sale. There is double the amount of Rolex for sale as what there are Omega. So that tells you a story in itself. So going back to the tiers, you've got the guys who are collecting the Casios and that type of thing. You've then got the people who are collecting the Tissot, Seiko, that sort of level. You've then got the people collecting your Oris, Hamilton, Tag Heuer, and then you move up to the people who are into the Breitling, Tudor, Omega, that type of level. Then you've got your Rolex. Then you've got beyond that, you go to your APs, your VCs, Patek Philippe, and upwards. So you've got your different levels. Now the people who are collecting the Omegas, Breitlings, things like that, they tend to be people in it for the love. They're in it for the love of the hobby. They're in it for the love of the watches. People who are into the Rolex scene, they tend to be split into two categories as well. You've got your investors who are just in it for the money. You've then got you tend to be like your purists, like somebody like Austin Daniels, that type of person who just loves the brand. They just love the watches. They love the brand. They're passionate about the watches. They love them. You've then got the people who've just got an investment portfolio. This is what's wrong with the hobby, is Rolex have done what they've done. I don't think Rolex have actually done anything wrong. I think it's their authorised dealers. I think the supply and demand, I think it'd be much easier and much fairer if people could just go into an authorised dealer and say, there's a £500 deposit, I want to buy a Rolex Submariner, how long will it be? And the authorised dealer says, oh yeah, you're number 26 on the list, it'll take approximately 2 years. If they said that, that's open, full transparency, you've paid your deposit, you've got your number in the queue, you'll get the watch when it comes. That's a fair system. This preferred customer bullshit is not fair. And these preferred customers, half of them are flippers, or certainly a proportion of them are flippers. And it's saturating the market with hyped pieces. It's hyping the market up. It's artificial inflation that's people are paying it. People are actually buying it. I mean, look at the recent, the 41mm Tiffany dial Oyster Perpetual. Absolute ludicrous. But this is what's happening, because a rumour went around that this thing was getting discontinued, and that's it. Everyone lost their shit. They invested in the watch, and then a load hit the market. They flooded the market with it. It was up to like 30,000. It's come down a bit now, but the market's still high on that watch. There's still hype surrounding that watch. Why? It's a 5,000 and odd pound production, mass-produced production model watch. So Rolex, if you took Rolex out of the watch hobby and just put Rolex to one side and forgot about it, the watch hobby would be a much happier place. It'd be a much nicer place. The purists would be in it. The purists would be talking more than the investors. I wouldn't be getting emails from people saying, which do you think is the best investment? Which is this, which is this, which is this? Now, I believe this is going to clear itself up. And follow me on this. When Rolex are doing what they're doing, Rolex are increasing the prices and increasing the prices and increasing the prices. They are pushing themselves out of, certainly my league. I'm not a poor guy, but I'm not a rich guy. Rolex are making themselves so expensive. They're coming they're becoming too expensive for most people to buy. So they're going to price themselves out of my market, and they'll be up there with Patek Philippe and other brands. They're going to be into a different segment to what I'm in, which is then going to leave it as clean air for people like, you know, people who are into Omega, Breitling, Tag, Tudor. The hobby's going to come great again, because Rolex will be out of the bulk of the discussions, because Rolex are then going to be talked about at the same level as Patek Philippe, VC, and all that type of stuff, the Holy Trinity stuff. Rolex is going to be out of discussion. There's still going to be a few Rolexes left behind, like the Explorer 1, which I think is possibly the best Rolex ever made. The Rolex 1, the Explorer 1, will still, I don't think it'll ever be a hyped price watch. I think it's got a ceiling. The Explorer 2, I think they're going to sit within my price budget, certainly for a good period of time. But certainly the Submariners, the GMTs, the Daytonas, etc., they're sort of they're getting pushed now out of. I mean, I'm wearing an Omega Seamaster Professional. A few years ago, the Rolex Submariner and the Seamaster Professional were going head-to-head competition. Yes, the Rolex Submariner was a bit more expensive, but the competition was there. Now the Rolex has gone completely out of the price, nowhere near the price of the Seamaster and I mean this on the pre-owned market. This has gone, you know, this watch has stayed pretty stable on the secondary market. It's not been a boom watch, it's not been a hyped watch, but the Rolex has just gone so beyond this watch in price on the secondary market that the only one that's really competing with this now are things like the Breitling Super Ocean, the Tudor Black Bay. You know, those watches are playing around with this now. The Rolex, because the price has just gone, people are no longer thinking, should I buy the Seamaster or the Submariner, which used to be the case. People used to say, which shall I buy, the Submariner or the Seamaster? It was a fair question because the prices were so similar and the watches were so similar. Now, that's not even a question people would ask, because, you know, you're talking about a £10,000 watch on the secondary market versus a £3,500 watch on the secondary market. You know, people aren't looking at those watches like that. They're looking at this versus the Tudor Black Bay or the Breitling Super Ocean and so on. The other thing that I think is spoiling the hobby, and again I'm going to get some flack for this, is YouTube. I think YouTube is certainly fueling the hype. And when I say YouTube, I specifically mean the live streams and the super chats. I think super chats are the bane of YouTube and the watch hobby, because I watch most of the big streamers. You know, I watch most of the big streams. I watch most of the smaller streamers. And the big YouTube streamers, when I say big, I mean anybody that's got sort of 50,000 subscribers and above. They are not bothered about the super chats. You never hear them say, send me a super chat and I'll answer a question. They don't care about the super chats. They're in it for the love, they're in it for the hobby. They're just talking watches. What there has been is at the lower end, there's been a lot of channels set up in the live streams, and it's super chats. That's all they want, is super chats. And I think it's a shame because it's bringing money into the hobby again. It's bringing a financial drive into the hobby again. And I think that's a shame. I participate in live streams. I go on live streams. I host a live stream extremely rarely. I think I've done one live stream in 6 months. If I do a live stream, I never will ask for a super chat. I don't, with the greatest of respect, I have my own business. I work for my money. What a live stream would bring me in as a revenue isn't something that I would require in the nicest possible way, if that makes sense. I make jokes about it on live streams and say that my YouTube career, because people have said before, you know, I do YouTube I go on other people's streams to boost my channel and boost my YouTube fame and all that. I mean, come on guys, I have 4,000 subscribers. There is no fame in YouTube, you know. 4,000 subscribers is nothing. 40,000 subscribers is nothing. 100,000 subscribers is nothing. These people are not famous. They're well known with watch enthusiasts, but they're not famous. Johnny Depp is famous. There isn't any watch YouTubers that are famous. There's watch YouTubers who are well known, but they're not famous. There's a big difference. And I make a joke of it and say that my YouTube revenue, because my channel is monetized, I do receive Google ads. I do receive an income from YouTube, and it's usually maybe £150 to £200 every 5 weeks, something like that, will come into my account from YouTube. And I make a joke and just say it's the difference between having the cheap budget toilet roll and I have the luxury toilet roll because I do YouTube. And that's literally what we're talking about. We're not talking about an income. We're not talking about big money. We're talking about, I do this for the love. I do this because people do find my videos boring but useful. And people have emailed me and said, they appreciate the content. They like this type of one-shot commentary type thing. Some people don't like it. Some people do. That's great. If you don't like it, don't watch it. If you do like it and you find it useful, subscribe and stick around. But I just wanted to share with you guys what I think is wrong with the watch hobby, and I think it's a bit of a vicious circle because you've got the YouTubers for super chats. And when I say this, I don't mean, I'm not talking about Archie Luxury. Archie Luxury is Paul Pluta. He's a friend of mine. I get on really, really well with Archie. He does this as a living. He's been taking super chats. He's been doing live streams every single day throughout COVID. It's part of his income. It's part of the guy's income. I'm talking about the people that have popped up who are scrabbling for super chats, and it's always, if you want to ask a question, please super chat. If you want this, please super chat. Do it for the love, or don't do it at all. And I think where Archie Luxury is a bit different is he's an entertainer. He does watches. His passion is watches, but it's his income as well. So I don't begrudge anybody an income. It is his living. It's not like he's got a full-time job and then he's doing YouTube as a side hustle. That's not the case. He's doing, this is his job, and his super chats form his income to feed his family. So I have no issue with that. It's the people that have popped up who are all of a sudden scrabbling for super chats. Oh, send me $5 and I'll do this, and send me $5 and I'll do that, and blah, 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 blah. It's a bit low rent. It's a little bit low rent. It's a little bit bottom feeder. Have some class. If you're wearing a Rolex Steel Sports on your wrist, you don't need super chats. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit low rent. It's like buying a Rolls Royce and going shopping at a bargain supermarket. It's just not quite the done thing. So yeah, I think that's a big part of the hobby, the big part of the negative of the hobby. And these YouTubers only speak about Rolex. So, guys, I know I've just been talking about Rolex. I get that, but what I try and do is show the flip side. I'm against the hype. I'm against if the Rolex hype is ever over and the Rolex watches come back down to normal, I will buy Rolex again. It's not the watches I'm against. It's not Rolex I'm against. It's the entire hype. It's the game. It's the fact that you have to kiss an authorised dealer's ass to get a watch, and that's what I'm against. So these YouTubers are talking about Rolex. They're talking about the hype. They're talking about the next model to get hyped will be this. The next model will be this. And that does influence, to a low level, that does influence the market slightly. Not a great deal, but slightly. But then when one YouTuber mentions it, another one does, and another one does, and another one does. And before you know it, it filters. Whether it filters from the top YouTubers down, or whether it filters from the bottom YouTubers up, these YouTubers have guests that go on different streams, and these conversations overlap onto different streams. And that's how it spreads. It will spread throughout YouTube and throughout the hobby. And the watch people that I envy and the watch people that I love the most aren't the Casio guys. They aren't the Citizen guys, and they're not the Rolex guys, and they're not the Patek Philippe guys. It's the guys in the segment in the middle who are in it for the passion. They love Oris, Hamilton, Tag Heuer, Breitling, Tudor, Amiga. These are the guys that I want to talk to. These are the guys that I like. And these are the guys that I find I have something in common with, because that's my segment. That's the segment that I enjoy. I've done the Rolex thing. If you check back from my channel, I've had the Rolex Daytonas Pandas. I've had the GMT Pepsis. I've had the Batmans. I've had the Submariner Hulks. But I've also had the Seikos. I've also had the Tags, the Oris, the Hamiltons, and all that. I've got a reasonable. I've spanned a reasonable proportion of the hobby. I've never gone beyond Rolex. I've never gone into AP, Patek Philippe. That's not my thing. It's outside my pocket. It's outside my budget, and you tend to be more into dressy watch territory. And I'm a steel sports guy. You know, I am what I am. I'm not a suit and tie guy. I'm jeans and a t-shirt guy. So this segment that I'm in is my comfort zone. It's where I like to be. And these are the guys that I want to get with. And when I come across these people who share interests, they're the guys that I'll chat with. And I'm really pleased, because these guys will ask me questions about, James, what do you think to the Amiga Speedmaster Ed White? You know, is the 321 worth it? What do you think to the 3861 Speedmaster versus the 1861, and the 1861 versus the 861, and the coaxial 9300 movement, the 8500 movement? And we get talking about the coaxial by Daniels and Amiga, and these are the conversations I want to have. I don't care. I mean, this watch, I don't care if it's worth £100 tomorrow. I genuinely don't give a shit. I own it because I love this watch. It's just a fantastic steel sports dive watch. You know, yes, it's mass produced, but, you know, don't kid yourself, guys. So is a Rolex Submariner. The Rolex Submariner, the Amiga Seamaster Professional, is no more mass produced than the Rolex Submariner. The difference is one of them carries the crown and one of them carries the hype. That's it in a nutshell. And, you know, I'm happy and content collecting what I collect, and let everybody else scrabble over for the Rolex. So guys, let me know what you think. Leave me some comments. Is this just me rambling, or is this actually, do you find this annoying with the hobby? YouTube and Rolex, and combine the two, just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. See what you guys think. So let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and all that usual bullshit. Check out the other videos that I've done. It's pretty much similar to this, just boring me rambling about crap. But there is some pretty good ones where, you know, we do some reviews of watches and stuff. So let me know, guys. Leave me a comment. If you want to contact me about anything, my email will be in the description. So yeah, take it easy, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.